Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. This is a place where driven, determined coaches learn how to get off the business growth struggle bus and learn how to build a wildly profitable online coaching business. I'm your host, Allison Henderson, corporate dropout to six-figure social media business coach. I'm going to show you how I've been able to create the business of my dreams organically, all through utilizing my social media platforms. So pull up a seat, take some notes, and get ready to see your life and bank account transform. Hello. It's me, Allison. Welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious Coach Podcast. All right. So since you're listening to this podcast, you, my friend, are ambitious. So since you are ambitious, you likely want all of my tips and tricks on how to get more clients, right? Duh. That's why you're here. Okay. So as I was thinking of a topic for this week, I definitely wanted to dive into something I haven't really spoken about before, which is how to be a guest on other people's podcasts. How can you pitch yourself? How can you get to be a guest on some of your favorite podcasts? So let's start with why podcasts though. So even if you don't listen to podcasts, well, likely you do because you're listening to this episode, but a lot of people do listen to podcasts every day or regularly, okay? When you think of like a long drive, well, let's put on a podcast. Or I know for myself, like doing the dishes or doing some laundry, I just find a podcast. Or even if I'm just like at the grocery store and I know I'm going to be there for like 15, 20 minutes, sometimes I just pop in a podcast in my earbuds and I just walk around. Okay. So podcasts are great for showcasing your passion, your expertise, and really letting people know you are a specialist at what you do. They are so great in helping you grow your audience, your email list, and getting people to really just check out your social media platforms. You want people consuming more and more content from you and, well, hitting that follow button, right? So collaborations and being a guest on other people's podcasts really help you be known to a whole bunch of people that did not know you before. This is a whole bunch of people that are new to you. It puts you in front of people that just really didn't know you existed, right? It really establishes yourself as an authority. When you say, I'm a guest on so-and-so's podcast, there is definitely a pro vibe there, right? People feel that. Like, damn, she is killing it. She is on so-and-so's podcast. She must be so successful. So if she's being invited on somebody's podcast, wow, she really must be doing well for herself, right? All right. Well, in all seriousness, people buy from leaders, okay? People buy from people who show up consistently and show up as that authority, all right? So being a guest on somebody's podcast can get you to that next level. It can bring in leads for you without you having to do much, all right? So this really positions you as an authority. And I love podcasting. Like I love being a podcast host. Okay. Almost all of my clients tell me they've listened to my podcast regularly before they invested in working with me. So hooray, right? So with that being said, I know people listen to podcasts before they invest in coaches and before they invest in people to hire. Okay. I've also had people say, though, they found me from so-and-so's podcast. So me being a guest on somebody else's has brought them to my podcast. Okay. And it's such a wonderful way for people to just get a chance to know you, your coaching style, hear your passion. And once again, just know that you are a specialist at what you do. I know I'm repeating myself a lot because I really do love podcasts and I love listening to other people talk on podcasts. Okay. So in essence, you using somebody else's built-in audience, their own trusted audience to speak in front of can help you tremendously, okay? This person has already done the hard work for you, which is building the audience. They gathered them all there to listen, right? And if that person trusts you to be on their podcast, then she's pretty much telling people, I trust this person. So you already have built-in trust as well, okay? And with that being said, it is time for you to set yourself up on a podcast tour so you can massively grow your audience and get more clients. You might be like, Allison, what is a podcast tour? It's literally like, think of like an author when they go on like a book tour, right? Like they go on a ton of people's podcasts. So you can set yourself up something like this too, like where you're getting on like 5 or 10 people's podcasts in the course of like 2 months. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is do some research. Which podcast would make sense for you to be a part of? One of the best search engines is called Listen Notes. All right. So once again, it's called Listen Notes. It is free. It shares just basic information about podcasts. Okay. So it'll tell you the top rated podcast, if it's still active, how long episodes are, if they're posting new podcast episodes, and a lot more. Okay. So go check that out. And literally you can just put in keywords like business, motherhood, fitness, health, entrepreneur, or whatever, right? Or if you have like a very specific ideal client, like teachers or something, okay? There's literally a podcast out there for everything. So just do some research, come up with 5 to 10 podcasts that you'd like to pitch to. I personally wouldn't be pitching to like the 0.01%. I mean, those likely have huge audiences, and they might be like looking for like paid sponsorships and that sort of stuff. But listen, okay? So actually listen to some of those episodes, see if it would make sense for you. On Listen Notes too, you can tell if they are like a top podcaster in a category or something like that, which is kind of cool. All right. So it is important to note too, like, do they actually take guests? Do they conduct interviews? And if they don't, then it's probably not a great podcast for you to pitch to. Okay. The ones where you can see they interview people regularly or just like every so often, those are safe. Okay. You could also do some research in the podcast app itself. Like if you listen on Spotify or Apple, put in some keywords on there too, like what podcasts pop up when you put in, say, business or motherhood or something like that, okay? And once you've compiled your list, I want you to start working on a simple one sheet about yourself. All right, so this is what you would say, 9.5 by 11 or something. And Canva is really great for this, okay? This is just a snapshot of who you are and your expertise. Okay. So this can include like a medium-sized bio, a photo of you, a list of, say, maybe like 4 to 5 topics that you feel really comfortable giving a presentation on. Include your contact information, and possibly if you've been on other people's podcasts or something like that, add like links to those on there too. All right. So once again, this is like a one sheet, a quick little snapshot of who you are. Okay. And if you haven't been on podcast or anything like that, just leave that piece out. Okay. Like I said, Canva likely has some templates for you to use. If you put in like Media Kit, I think I found mine on there. So it's really easy for you to just use a template on there. The one sheet is great for the podcaster that you're pitching to, because once again, it just really sums up who you are, and it gives them specific episode topic ideas for them. So try to formulate the topic like a headline for social media. You want to make it enticing and clear. All right. So the next piece of all this is asking to actually be a guest, right? So where is this podcaster hanging out? Like, do some research. Is she on, or he, whatever, is he or she on Instagram, Facebook? Can you find their email on their website, or maybe in the show notes? What do you feel is the best way to contact them? Right. So what's your vibe too? Like, I'm personally so cool with just being like, hey, on Instagram, like, wishful thinking, really love your podcast. Like, are you looking for a guest? Right. I'm very, very simple with like sometimes when I reach out to podcasters. So I personally feel most podcasters are on Instagram likely. Okay. So follow them, listen to an episode or two. All right. Do you like this person? Do you feel you'd vibe with them? Also, there is a lot of Facebook groups out there that are designed to help people find podcasts to be guests on. Okay. You could definitely ask your current audience too on Instagram or on Facebook, what podcasts do you listen to? Right. This could help you in finding relevant podcasts for you to pitch yourself to. Okay. So once you're ready, I personally like just send this person. So once you're ready to actually pitch yourself, send this person a very simple DM, and you can just say, hello, blank. I've listened to your podcast and I love your mission on helping blank. So actually insert like their I help statement or just something that you heard them say on their podcast. All right. Most people have their mission like in the show notes or when they first start actually talking on the podcast. Okay. And then you want to just add wishful thinking. Are you looking for guests? Okay. Leave it there. No need to send a long pitch or a bunch of info on who you are. If they are on Instagram, they'll likely go check out your profile, watch some of your videos, see your posts. This is why it's so important to have content. Okay. And it's like your own little media kit, your business card. It's right there for them to see. It's like your resume, right? And they can see there if you are a good fit or not for the podcast. They might ask you a lot more questions, which is great. Like, you want them engaging with you. You want them replying back. right? You can send a voice note as well. Just another idea to have somebody hear your voice and hear your passion and I don't know, just your compassion or whatever, right? So if for some reason though, you can't find their podcast on Instagram or this host on Instagram, go check out their website and see if they have any applications or like an inquiry form for their podcast. Some people do this. You can definitely go down the route of sending cold emails as well. Like in this email, you could go into just a lot more detail on who you are, why you are a great fit for this podcast, share any relevant information on why you think your topic would be a good fit for their audience, and just overall, like why you're so flippin' amazing. Okay. And I feel there might be some of you who need to hear this right now. Don't be afraid to reach out to bigger-ish podcasts. Okay. You might think that they get inquiries all the time, but you'd be surprised. Most people don't want to go around looking for guests. Okay. A lot of them don't have this huge team. They might just have an editor and that's it. Okay. So if it is a good fit, reach out. You honestly have nothing to lose. You only have so much to gain by taking that chance, taking that risk on yourself, that leap of faith, right? And reaching out to this person. So be hopeful. Your whole life could possibly change because of this one podcast. Okay. This one person. And another great thing too is after the podcast airs, there's so much other things that could happen for you, right? There is more promotion that's being done. Like the podcaster sends out emails to their email list. They likely post on their social media profiles a couple times. Just be a good podcast guest too. I want you sharing it. So share it with your email list if you have one, share it to your story, share it to your feed, anywhere that you have an audience. So Facebook group, okay? You want that person impressed with your dedication and helping them promote it. Trust me, as someone who has guests on their podcast, I love it when people take that extra effort on their end and promote it to their audience a few times, okay? Without even me asking to, okay? And if you don't have a huge audience yet, don't worry about it, okay? Just share it anyway. Share it anywhere that you can. Don't let your lack of followers stop you from getting on podcasts, okay? And if this all scares you and you want some help with like the one sheet, a media kit, writing emails, finding podcasts, finding people to collaborate with, okay? This is like one of the many things that I help my clients with inside one-on-one coaching. Okay. So right now, currently I have 2 openings. We'll be getting on weekly calls. You'll have access to me via Voxer between our calls, and you'll get access to all my courses, my group programs, co-working sessions, and more. So whatever I'm doing during those 3 months, you get full access to. Okay. We'll work together for 3 months and we'll go through your full business foundation. So this would include like your content, sales calls, your sales pages, your website, email marketing, masterclasses, and webinars, and whatever really that you need to be focusing on when it comes to building your business. Okay. This investment for my 3-month coaching is $3,000 USD. And yes, of course, there are payment plans available. So to learn more, send me a DM on Instagram or click the link in my show notes to apply to work with me and book your sales call. Okay. I'm so excited for you. So thank you all for listening. Happy selling, happy podcasting, and I will see you again next week. Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Coach podcast today. A couple favors before you go. If you found this episode helpful, please take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Most importantly, don't forget to tag me at Allison Henderson _coach. That's ALLISON Henderson _coach. And lastly, please take a minute to rate this episode and leave a raving review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Okay, ambition is great, but it's time to get to work. Take action and commit to being 1% better every day. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week.